She canceled the blind date after a threatening call from her ex. Then her tire went flat in a dark parking lot, and her little son started crying. A stranger stopped to help, calm, powerful, dangerous. What she didn't know, the man fixing her tire was the one person her ex's enemies feared most. And he'd just decided she was his to protect. Adrian Moretti checked his Rolex for the third time in 5 minutes. 8:47 p.m. His sister Sophia had sworn this woman was different. A kindergarten teacher, sweet, genuine, nothing like the social climbers who usually threw themselves at the Moretti name. The restaurant hummed with quiet luxury around him. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, servers who moved like shadows. Adrian loosened his tie, feeling ridiculous. He didn't do blind dates. He didn't do dates. But Sophia had that way of wearing him down, and after their mother's passing last year, he'd found himself saying yes to things he normally wouldn't. His phone buzzed.
I'm sorry.
I can't come. Adrian stared at the message.
No explanation. No excuse.
Just 7 words and radio silence. He signaled for his coat, jaw tight. The maitre d' appeared instantly, sensing dismissal the way prey senses a predator. Adrian tipped him anyway. Not the woman's fault his evening had imploded, and pushed through the brass doors into the October cold. The parking lot stretched before him, mostly empty now. His Mercedes sat under a streetlight like a Black Panther at rest. He was fishing for his keys when he heard it.
Crying.
Not the delicate sniffling of someone who'd had too much wine. Real crying, the broken, gasping kind that came from somewhere deep and desperate. Adrian's instincts kicked in. He turned toward the sound. In the corner of the lot, near the grocery store that shared the strip mall, a woman knelt beside a silver Honda Civic. The rear tire sagged flat against the asphalt. A little boy, maybe 5 years old, clutched her leg, his face buried in her jeans. The woman's shoulders shook. Her phone lay on the ground beside her, screen shattered into a spider web of cracks. Adrian's first thought was to keep walking. Not his problem. Not his world. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way the kid was trying so hard not to cry, his small fists white-knuckled in his mother's jacket. Maybe it was the complete absence of anyone else in the lot willing to help. Or maybe, and this bothered him more than he'd admit, it was the nagging thought that this was her. The blind date. Need help. His voice came out rougher than intended. The woman's head snapped up. Mascara tracked down her cheeks in dark rivers. Brown eyes, wide and terrified, met his. She scrambled to her feet, pulling the boy behind her in one protective motion.
I've fine.
We're fine, her voice trembled, contradicting every word. Adrian raised his hand slowly, the way you might approach a spooked animal. Your tire's flat. It's late. Let me at least call you a tow truck.
No.
Thank you. But no, she bent to grab her destroyed phone, and that's when Adrian saw it. A piece of paper, crumpled and dirty, half-tucked under the car's floor mat. The corner that showed bore a symbol he knew too well, a phoenix rising from flames, rendered in red ink. The Phoenix Cartel's calling card. Ice flooded Adrian's veins. Ma'am. He kept his voice level, unthreatening. Are you Mia? Her face went white. How do you? Sophia Moretti is my sister. The blind date. He watched recognition flicker across her features, followed immediately by fresh tears. Oh God. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I wanted to come, I did, but then he called and she pressed her hand to her mouth, cutting herself off. The boy tugged her jacket.
Mana, ingskared.
I know, baby. I know. She smoothed his dark hair with shaking fingers. Adrian's mind raced. A woman connected to him, even tangentially, marked by the Phoenix Cartel. This wasn't random. This was a message, or worse, a move. Mia, he kept his tone firm but gentle. I need you to tell me what happened. Right now. She shook her head violently. You should go. Forget you saw us. It's safer. That note under your car. I saw the symbol. You've been threatened by the Phoenix cartel, haven't you? Her sharp inhale was answer enough. Adrian pulled out his own phone and dialed.
Marco.
Parking lot behind Emilio's restaurant.
Now.
Bring the jack. What are you doing? Mia's voice pitched higher. Fixing your tire. Then we're going to talk, he ended the call and crouched down to examine the flat. Clean puncture, deliberately placed. Someone had wanted her stranded here, vulnerable. I can't involve you in this, Mia whispered. You don't understand. Try me. She looked at her son, then back at Adrian. Something in his eyes must have convinced her, because her shoulders sagged in defeat. My ex-husband.
Luis Ortega.
He called 2 hours ago. Said he needed money, $50,000 by tomorrow night, or, her voice broke. Or he'd take Leo. He said men were watching me. That if I talked to anyone, if I went anywhere with anyone, they'd know. Adrian's blood turned to ice, then fire.
Luis Ortega.
Works for the Phoenix cartel? How did you? Lucky guess, he stood, scanning the parking lot with new eyes. Empty, but that didn't mean they weren't being watched. The blind date. That's why you canceled.
He knew about it.
He knew I had plans tonight. He said if I showed up, if I was seen with anyone, especially, she stopped. Especially what? He said especially not anyone from those Italian families. Mia's voice dropped to barely a whisper. What does that mean? Who are you people? Before Adrian could answer, a black SUV pulled into the lot. Marco emerged, took one look at the scene, and understood immediately. He popped the trunk without a word. Adrian turned back to Mia. I'm going to fix your tire. Then you're going to drive yourself and your son somewhere safe. A friend's house, a hotel, anywhere but home. Tomorrow, we'll figure out the rest. But Luis said. Luis Ortega is a dead man talking. He just doesn't know it yet. The words came out colder than Adrian intended, and Mia flinched. Marco handed him the jack. As Adrian knelt beside the Honda, he noticed the boy, Leo, watching him with huge, solemn eyes. You know how to change a tire, kid? Leo shook his head. Want to learn? The smallest nod. As Adrian worked, explaining each step to the boy while Marco stood watch and Mia tried to stop shaking, one thought crystallized in his mind with perfect, dangerous clarity. The Phoenix cartel had just made the worst mistake of their miserable existence. They'd threatened something that belonged to him. And Adrian Moretti always protected what was his. 20 minutes later, the Honda sat on a fresh spare tire. Leo had handed Adrian tools with the solemnity of a surgical assistant, and some of the terror had faded from Mia's eyes. But not enough. Adrian wiped his hands on a rag Marco provided. The tire will get you where you need to go, but you'll need a replacement soon. That spare won't last long. Thank you. Mia's voice was steadier now, but her fingers trembled as she reached for her purse. I don't have much cash, but... Keep it. Adrian pulled a business card from his wallet. Plain white, embossed black letters. Adrian Moretti, Private Consulting. A phone number, nothing else. If anything happens, anything at all, you call that number. She took the card like it might burn her. I don't understand why you're helping us. Neither do I, Adrian admitted. It was more honest than he'd intended to be. Marco cleared his throat, a warning. A silver sedan had pulled into the far end of the lot, engine idling. Dark windows. No one getting out. Get in your car, Adrian said quietly. Both of you.
Now.
Mia's eyes followed his gaze to the sedan. Her face drained of color. That's them. That's the car that followed me from Leo's school. Adrian's hand moved instinctively toward the gun at his hip, concealed beneath his jacket. Marco had already shifted position, placing himself between the Honda and the sedan.
Nana.
Leo's voice cracked. In the car, Mia. Lock the doors. Adrian kept his voice calm, but his eyes never left the sedan. What are you going to?
Now.
She grabbed Leo and practically threw him into the back seat, diving in after him. The locks clicked. Through the window, Adrian could see her fumbling with her keys, hands shaking so badly she dropped them twice. The sedan's passenger door opened. A man stepped out. Expensive suit, cheap cologne. Adrian could smell it from 30 feet away. Tattoos crept up his neck. Phoenix cartel, no question. Mid-level enforcer, probably. Sent to watch, to intimidate. The man smiled. Gold tooth glinted in the streetlight. Nice night for helping strangers, amigo. Adrian said nothing. Marco moved slightly, ready. That lady, she's having a hard time lately. The enforcer took a few steps closer. Bad luck with tires. Bad luck with husbands. We're just trying to help her out, you know? Make sure she pays what's owed. She doesn't owe you anything, Adrian said flatly. The gold tooth flashed again. See, that's where you're wrong. Her husband, Luis? He borrowed from us. Didn't pay back. So now, the debt transfers. That's how it works in our world. Your world is about to get very small. The enforcer's smile faded. He looked at Adrian more carefully now, taking in the tailored suit, the confident stance, the way Marco stood like a trained soldier. You know who we are? Phoenix Cartel. Small-time traffickers trying to play in the big leagues. You've been pushing into the Port District for 6 months. It's not going well. A flicker of uncertainty crossed the enforcer's face. Who the fuck are you? Behind Adrian, the Honda's engine finally caught. Mia had gotten it started. Someone you should have researched before making threats. Adrian pulled his phone out, never breaking eye contact. He typed a quick message to his tech team. Silver sedan, parking lot, Emilio's.
Get me plates and faces. Now.
The enforcer's hand moved toward his waistband. I wouldn't. Marco's voice was arctic. His jacket had fallen open just enough to show the shoulder holster. For a long moment, nobody moved. The tension stretched like a wire about to snap. Then the enforcer backed away, hands raised in mock surrender. This ain't over. Luis's debt is still there. The woman pays or nothing. Adrian's voice could have cut glass. You go back to your bosses and tell them Adrian Moretti says the woman is off limits. Tell them if anyone touches her or her son, I'll burn their entire operation to the ground. Are we clear? The name landed like a bomb. Adrian watched recognition, then fear, flood the enforcer's face. Everyone in the criminal underworld knew the Moretti name. One of the oldest Italian crime families in the city, with roots going back 3 generations. The enforcer stumbled back to the sedan. Doors slammed. Tires squealed as they peeled out of the lot.
Marco exhaled slowly.
Well, that's done it. They know now. Good. Adrian turned to the Honda. Mia sat frozen behind the wheel, Leo still in the back. He walked to her window. She rolled it down an inch. What just happened? She whispered. You're safe. For tonight. Go somewhere they won't look. Not a friend's house, not family. A hotel under a different name. Pay cash. I'll contact you tomorrow. You said your name. Moretti. They looked terrified. Adrian met her eyes. Sometimes a name is all you need. Who are you really? He stepped back from the car. Someone who keeps his word.
Go. Now.
She hesitated one more second, then drove away. Adrian watched until her taillights disappeared.
Marco Lita Segueret.
You just declared war on the Phoenix cartel over a woman you met 20 minutes ago. No, Adrian said quietly. They declared war when they put that note under her car. I'm just deciding how badly I'm going to win. His phone buzzed. The plates were already being traced. The game had begun. Adrian's penthouse occupied the top floor of the Moretti Tower, a gleaming monument to legitimate business built on decidedly illegitimate foundations. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city's glittering sprawl. At 2 a.m., most of those lights belonged to people who'd never know his name. He preferred it that way. Talk to me, Vincent. Adrian loosened his tie, pouring 2 fingers of scotch while his tech specialist typed furiously across 3 computer screens. Vincent Shun had been with the Moretti family for 8 years, a hacker turned legitimate security consultant turned whatever Adrian needed him to be. His fingers flew across the keyboard like a concert pianist's.
Luis Ortega.
Age 34. Petty criminal turned cartel errand boy. Vincent pulled up a driver's license photo. Weak chin, Dead eyes, the look of a man who'd sold his soul in installments. He's been off the grid for 18 months. Divorce from Mia Castellano was finalized 14 months ago. She got full custody of the kid, Leo, age 5. Luis disappeared 2 days after the papers were signed. And now he's back. Adrian swirled his scotch, watching the amber liquid catch the light. Not just back. He resurfaced exactly 48 hours ago, entering the city through the southern port. Vincent switched screens. Security footage showed Luis climbing out of a shipping container, flanked by 2 Phoenix cartel soldiers. He came in with a cartel shipment. They're using him for something. Marco, who'd been standing silent by the window, turned. Using him how? That's the interesting part. Vincent pulled up financial records, the kind that required questionable methods to obtain. 3 weeks ago, the Phoenix cartel purchased the building where Mia and Luis used to live. Paid twice market value, cash. Then they sent Luis back to find her. Adrian's jaw tightened. They want something she has. Or something Luis hid there before he ran. Vincent pulled up property records. The apartment's been empty since the divorce. Mia moved to a smaller place across town, probably couldn't afford the old rent. But the Phoenix cartel's been sitting on that building, waiting. Waiting for what? Marco asked. Adrian set down his glass. For Luis to bring them Mia. She's the only one with legal right to enter that apartment. Whatever they're looking for, they need her to get it. Vincent nodded. Gets better. Or worse, depending on perspective. The Phoenix cartel's been hemorrhaging money for 6 months. They lost 3 major shipments to the feds. Someone's been feeding information to the DEA. They're desperate, sloppy. This port expansion they're attempting? It's a Hail Mary. They need new revenue streams, or they collapse. Who's running their operation here? Adrian asked. Carlos Vega. Vicious, ambitious, and stupid. Bad combination. Vincent pulled up surveillance photos. A heavy-set man with prison tattoos and cruel eyes. He's trying to prove himself to the cartel leadership in Mexico. Word is, if this port takeover succeeds, he moves up. If it fails, he disappears.
Permanently.
Marco cracked his knuckles. So, he's desperate. Desperate men are dangerous. Especially to innocent women and children. Adrian's voice went cold. He pulled out his phone, dialing a number from memory. Moretti. The voice on the other end was gravelly, half asleep. Tony Greco, one of Adrian's most trusted soldiers. I need eyes on someone. Round-the-clock surveillance, but invisible. She can't know she's being watched, and neither can the Phoenix cartel. Who's the target? Her name's Mia Castellano. I'm sending you her details now. She has a 5-year-old son. They're at a hotel tonight. Vincent will get you the location. Starting tomorrow, wherever she goes, you go. If anyone from the Phoenix cartel gets within 50 feet of her, I want to know immediately. Protective detail or reconnaissance? Both. And Tony? If it comes down to it, you protect her and the kid. Everything else is secondary. A pause. Understood. Adrian ended the call and looked at Vincent. I want everything on Luis Ortega. Bank accounts, phone records, known associates. And get me blueprints for that old apartment building. If something's hidden there, I want to know where. On it, Vincent's fingers were already moving. Marco approached, lowering his voice. Adrian, you understand what you're doing here? The Phoenix cartel finds out we're protecting her. This goes from a territorial dispute to all-out war. They already made it war when they threatened her. Adrian walked to the window, staring out at the city. Somewhere out there, Mia was probably lying awake in a cheap hotel room, terrified, while her son slept fitfully beside her. A woman he'd met for 20 minutes. A woman who was supposed to be a blind date, nothing more. She's not part of this world, Marco. She teaches kindergarten. She drives a beat-up Honda. She doesn't deserve to be a pawn in cartel politics. Nobody deserves it, Marco said quietly. But that doesn't usually stop you from walking away when it's not family business. Adrian turned from the window. The Phoenix cartel is pushing into our territory. They've been a problem for months. This isn't about her. It's about sending a message. Marco raised an eyebrow but said nothing. They both knew Adrian was lying. Vincent's phone buzzed. "Boss, I've got something." Luis's phone records just came through. He made 17 calls in the past 48 hours. 16 to Phoenix cartel numbers he looked up, face grim. The 17th was to Leo's elementary school, asking about enrollment and pickup procedures. The scotch glass shattered in Adrian's hand. "Get me everything," Adrian said, his voice deadly calm as blood dripped from his palm. "Every cartel location, every soldier, every shipment." The Phoenix cartel just signed their death warrant. Mia dropped Leo at Sunshine Elementary at 8:15 a.m., 15 minutes early. She'd barely slept, jumping at every sound in the hotel room, checking the locks obsessively. Leo had asked why they weren't going home. She'd told him they were having an adventure. The lie tasted like ash. "Mama, you're squishing me," Leo squirmed in her embrace. "Sorry, baby." She kissed his forehead, breathing in his little boy smell, apple shampoo and sleep. "You have a good day, okay? And remember, if anyone you don't know tries to talk to you, I tell Mrs. Patterson right away. You told me a million times." Just making sure, she forced a smile, watching him run toward the playground where his best friend waited. The normalcy of it, kids laughing, backpacks bouncing, the morning bell, felt like a cruel joke. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her heart seized. "This is Adrian. Tony Greco will be nearby today. You won't see him, but he's there. You're safe. Delete this message." Mia stared at the text. Part of her wanted to feel violated. Who is this man to assign bodyguards without asking? But a larger part felt overwhelming relief. She deleted the message and drove to work. Rosie's Diner sat on the corner of 5th and Maple, a chrome and vinyl relic from the 1950s that somehow still served the best coffee in the district. Mia had worked there for 3 years, ever since the divorce left her scrambling for rent money. The regulars knew her name. The owner, Rosie Martinez, let her bring Leo on school holidays. It was the closest thing to family she had left. "You look like hell," Rosie said when Mia walked in, tying her apron with shaking fingers. "Didn't sleep great." "Luis again?" Mia's hands froze. "What?" "Honey, I've known you long enough to read your tells. Every time that bastard crawls back into your life, you get that look. Like a deer watching headlights." Rosie squeezed her shoulder. "You want me to call my cousin? He's a cop."
No. No cops.
"I'm handling it." Rosie didn't look convinced, but the morning rush was starting. Truckers, nurses coming off night shift, construction workers, the diner filled with the usual symphony of clinking plates and shouted orders. Mia fell into the rhythm. Coffee, eggs, smile. Coffee, pancakes, smile. The routine was almost meditative. For whole minutes at a time, she could pretend yesterday hadn't happened. Then the 2 men walked in. They didn't fit. Wrong clothes, expensive leather jackets in a place where most customers wore flannel. Wrong attitude, eyes that scanned the room like they were cataloging exits. They sat at the counter, directly in Mia's section. Her blood turned to ice water. "Coffee." She kept her voice steady, professional. "2, the first man smiled. "Gold tooth. The same enforcer from last night's parking lot. And we'll take our time deciding on food. They weren't here to eat." Mia poured coffee with trembling hands, spilling drops on the counter. Behind her, she could feel their eyes tracking her every movement. When she turned to help another customer, Gold Tooth called out. "Miss, we're ready to order now." She returned. "What can I get you?" "Information." He leaned forward, voice low enough that nearby customers couldn't hear. "Your ex-husband says you have something that belongs to our employer. Documents from your old apartment. We're willing to pay for their return." "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do." The second man, younger, with a neck tattoo of a phoenix, tapped his fork against his plate. "Luis hid them there before he left. You're the only one with keys now. Simple trade. Documents for your son's safety." The diner spun. Mia gripped the counter to stay upright. "Don't you dare." "We're not threatening. We're negotiating." Gold Tooth's smile widened. You seem like a smart lady. Kindergarten teacher, right? Good mother. You understand how to make smart choices for your kid. Rosie appeared from the kitchen, her radar for trouble pinging. Everything okay here, Mia?
Fine, Mia whispered.
These gentlemen bothering you? Gold Tooth raised his hands in mock innocence. Just complimenting the service. Then compliment faster and order something or get out. This isn't a loitering establishment. The tension stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Then Gold Tooth dropped a 20 on the counter.
Keep the coffee.
We'll be seeing you around, Mia. They left. But Mia knew it wasn't over. Her break came at 11. She stumbled into the alley behind the diner, gulping air, trying not to vomit. Her hands shook so badly she couldn't light the cigarette she'd bummed from the cook. Footsteps echoed behind her. She spun. The younger enforcer, Phoenix Neck Tattoo, blocked the alley entrance. Your boss is protective. Admirable. But she can't watch you every second. Get away from me. One chance, Mia. Tonight, 9 p.m., your old apartment. Bring the documents. We'll consider Luis's debt paid, and you never see us again. I told you I don't have. A shadow fell across the alley. A man appeared behind Phoenix Tattoo, tall, built like a linebacker, with the empty eyes of someone who'd seen too much violence. He didn't say a word, just placed one massive hand on the enforcer's shoulder. Phoenix Tattoo went rigid. Who the fuck? Wrong neighborhood. The big man's voice was a low rumble. His grip tightened.
Boss says you leave. Now.
Your boss doesn't run. The big man, Tony Greco, Mia realized, twisted the enforcer's arm with surgical precision.
No teatrix.
Just enough pressure to make his point. Phoenix Tattoo gasped, face draining of color. Now, Tony repeated. The enforcer stumbled away, clutching his arm. Tony watched until he disappeared around the corner, then turned to Mia. You okay, ma'am? Who are you really working for? Tony's expression didn't change. Someone who keeps his promises. Get back inside. You're safer with witnesses. He melted back into the shadows as quickly as he'd appeared. Mia stood alone in the alley, cigarette forgotten in her hand, realizing with crystalline clarity that she'd stepped into something far bigger and more dangerous than she'd imagined. And Adrian Moretti, whoever he really was, had just declared her his to protect. Mia waited until her shift ended at 4 p.m., picked up Leo from after-school care, and dropped him at her friend Jessica's house with a story about needing to run errands. Jessica didn't ask questions, one of the things Mia loved about her. Then she drove straight to the address printed on Adrian's business card. The Moretti Tower rose 40 stories into the twilight sky, all steel and glass and intimidation. The lobby alone probably cost more than Mia would make in a lifetime. A security guard intercepted her before she reached the elevators. Can I help you, ma'am? I'm here to see Adrian Moretti. The guard's eyebrows rose slightly. Do you have an appointment? No, but... Mia pulled out the business card. He gave me this. Tell him Mia Castellano is here. The guard studied her, wrinkled diner uniform, bargain store shoes, exhaustion etched into every line of her face. Whatever he saw made him pick up the phone. Sir, there's a woman in the lobby. Says her name is Mia Castellano. A pause. Yes, sir. Right away. He hung up, looking slightly surprised. 40th floor. Someone will meet you at the elevator. The elevator ride felt endless. Mia watched the numbers climb, her anger building with each floor. Who was this man who thought he could just insert himself into her life? Who sent bodyguards without asking? Who made men with guns back down with just a name? The doors opened to a reception area that screamed wealth, marble floors, contemporary art that probably cost 6 figures, a view that made her dizzy. Marco waited by the elevator. Ms. Castellano. This way, please. I know you, Mia said. You were there last night. In the parking lot. Yes, ma'am. Are you going to tell me what's really going on? That's above my pay grade. Marco led her down a hallway to a set of double doors. He knocked once, then opened them. She's here, boss. Adrian stood by the window, backlit by the setting sun. He'd removed his jacket, rolled up his sleeves. Even in the dim light, Mia could see the bandage wrapped around his right hand. "Thank you, Marco." Closed the door. They were alone. "You've had an eventful day," Adrian said without turning around. "Your man told you." Mia's voice came out sharper than intended. "The one who's been following me. Tony. He's not following you. He's protecting you. There's a difference. You don't get to make that choice for me." The words burst out. "I don't know you. We met for 20 minutes in a parking lot, and suddenly there are men watching me, following me to work, threatening people in alleys." "Those weren't my men threatening you." Adrian turned, and the intensity in his eyes stopped her mid-sentence. "Those were Phoenix cartel soldiers. The same ones who punctured your tire, who called your ex-husband, who've been planning to use you and your son as leverage. Tony prevented one of them from doing God knows what to you in that alley."
Mia S. Anger faltered.
"How do you know all this?" "Because it's my business to know." Adrian moved to his desk, pressing a button. A screen descended from the ceiling, displaying surveillance photos. Luis climbing out of a shipping container. The two men from the diner. Carlos Vega's cruel face. The Phoenix cartel is trying to expand into port territory. They need money desperately. Your ex-husband stole something from them, or hid something for them, and now they think you have it. I don't have anything. They believe you do. And belief is all that matters. Adrian pulled up blueprints of her old apartment building. "Whatever Luis hid, it's in your former apartment. They've been waiting for a way to get inside, without drawing attention. That's why they sent Luis back, to manipulate you into helping them." Mia sank into a chair, her legs suddenly unable to support her. "I haven't been to that apartment in over a year. After the divorce, I couldn't afford it. The landlord said he'd sold the building, and I left everything. Some furniture, boxes in the storage unit. Nothing valuable. To them, it's valuable." Adrian's voice softened slightly. "Mia, I need you to understand something. These people don't make idle threats. If they say they'll take Leo, they will. If they say they'll hurt you, they will. This isn't a game you can opt out of." "Then what am I supposed to do?" Her voice cracked. "I'm a kindergarten teacher. I make $11 an hour plus tips. I can't fight cartels. I can't." The tears came then, hot and furious and helpless. "I just want my son to be safe." Adrian grabbed a box of tissues from his desk, offering them to her. He pulled up a chair, sitting at her level instead of looming over her. The gesture felt oddly intimate. "I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be honest."
Can you do that?
Mia nodded, wiping her eyes. "Do you trust me? I don't even know you." "Fair point." Adrian leaned back. "Then let me tell you who I am. My family has been in this city for 3 generations. We have businesses, some legitimate, some less so. We have enemies. We have rules. And one of those rules is that we don't hurt innocent people, especially not women and children." "That's not an answer." "The answer is that I can protect you and Leo from the Phoenix cartel. But I need your cooperation, and I need you to stop running away when my people try to help." "Why?" Mia met his eyes. "Why do you even care? We were supposed to have one blind date. You don't owe me anything." Adrian was quiet for a long moment. "Maybe I'm tired of watching bad things happen to good people when I have the power to stop it." "That's not an answer either." A ghost of a smile crossed his face.
"No."
"It's not." Mia stood, pacing to the window. The city spread below her, millions of lights representing millions of lives. How many of those people lived in constant fear like she did? "Those men at the diner," she said quietly. "They want me to go to my old apartment tonight at 9 p.m. to get whatever Luis hid there." "Absolutely not." "They said if I don't." "Mia, it's a trap. They'll take what they want and kill you as a loose end." She turned, and Adrian saw something new in her expression. Not fear. Determination. "Then you come with me. You said you can protect me. Prove it." Adrian vetoed the apartment plan immediately. Too dangerous, too obvious, too much of what the cartel expected. Instead, He sent Mia home with Tony as a shadow and promised they'd retrieve whatever Luis had hidden, on their terms, not the cartel's. But the Phoenix cartel had other plans. The call came at 2:47 p.m. the next day. Adrian was in a meeting with his accountants when Vincent burst through the door, face ashen. "It's the kid."
Lei.
Someone tried to take him from school. Adrian was moving before Vincent finished the sentence. "Where is he now?" "Safe. Still at the school." "But boss, it was Luis, the biological father." He showed up at pickup time with custody papers. The drive to Sunshine Elementary took 12 minutes. Adrian made it in 7, Marco and 2 other soldiers following in a second car. By the time they arrived, 3 police cruisers already lined the street, lights flashing. Tony Greco stood on the front steps, his massive frame blocking the entrance. When he saw Adrian, relief flickered across his face. "She's inside with the kid." "Principal's office. Luis is still here. Cops are questioning him in the parking lot." Adrian's jaw clenched. "What happened?" "Luis showed up at 2:30, claimed he had legal custody rights. Showed the office forged paperwork, looked official enough that the secretary almost released Leo to him. But the principal, Mrs. Patterson, she's sharp. Called Mia to confirm. Mia freaked. I called you, and I got here before Luis could leave with the kid." "You put hands on him?" "Didn't have to. Just stood between him and the door. He's smart enough to know when he's outgunned." Tony paused. "But boss, he's claiming legal rights. The cops might not be able to hold him." Adrian's eyes went cold. "Take me to Mia." Inside, the school smelled like crayons and floor polish. Children's artwork covered every wall. Handprint turkeys, construction paper pumpkins, crayon self-portraits. A reminder of innocence that made what Luis had attempted even more vile. Mrs. Patterson, a steel-haired woman in her 60s, intercepted Adrian in the hallway. "Are you family?" "A friend. Mia's in my office with Leo." "The poor boy is terrified." She lowered her voice. "I've been a principal for 30 years. I know a dangerous man when I see one. That father, there's something very wrong there. I'm glad your associate arrived when he did." Adrian found Mia in a small office cluttered with files and motivational posters. Leo sat in her lap, face buried in her shoulder. She looked up when Adrian entered, and the relief in her eyes was palpable. "He tried to take him," she whispered. "Luis just walked in here like he had every right. Young, eager, with the earnest expression of someone who still believed the system worked perfectly." "Are you the mother?" Mia nodded, not trusting her voice. "Ma'am, I need to ask you some questions about the custody arrangement. Mr. Ortega claims he has visitation rights, but his paperwork appears to be falsified. Do you have documentation?" "The divorce decree is at home. Full custody was granted to me. Luis signed away his parental rights as part of the settlement." Mia's voice strengthened as she spoke. "He hasn't seen Leo in 14 months. Hasn't paid a dime in child support. And now he shows up with fake papers trying to kidnap him. We'll need to verify everything, but based on what the principal told us, we're detaining Mr. Ortega for attempted custodial interference and forgery." The officer's radio crackled. He stepped into the hallway to respond. Adrian moved to the window. In the parking lot, Luis was being led to a police cruiser. But just before they put him in the car, he looked directly at the principal's office. His eyes locked with Adrian's. And Luis smiled. Not the desperate smile of a caught man, the knowing smile of someone who'd accomplished exactly what he'd set out to do. Adrian's blood ran cold. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Nice try, Moretti." But the boy was never the real target. "Check your ports."
Marco.
Adrian barked into his phone. "Get to the warehouse district.
Now."
Full team. The school was a diversion. He turned to Mia. "I need you to listen very carefully. Tony is going to take you and Leo to a safe house. Not a hotel, not a friend's place, a secure location that only my people know about. You're going to stay there until I say otherwise." "What's happening?" Luis getting arrested was part of their plan. They wanted us focused here while they moved on their real target. Adrian was already heading for the door. They're hitting our operations at the port. This was a message. They're telling us they can get to what matters to us while we're distracted. But Leo, Tony will keep him safe. I promise you. Adrian paused at the door. And Mia? They just made this personal. That was their second mistake. What was their first? Thinking I'd let any of you get hurt. Same unknown. Adrian arrived just after dawn, having spent the night coordinating damage control at the port and planning his next moves. He found Mia on the back deck, wrapped in a borrowed sweater, watching the sun paint the water gold. Leo's still asleep, she said without turning around. Tony's man, Dominic, made him pancakes last night. He ate 4-inch. Kids are resilient. Are they? Mia finally looked at him, and Adrian saw she hadn't slept. Because my son asked me last night why the bad men want to hurt us. He's 5 years old, Adrian. He should be worried about homework and whether he'll get the red Power Ranger for Christmas.
Not
This. Adrian leaned against the railing beside her.
I'm sorry.
Are you? Because from where I'm standing, you've inserted yourself into our lives, and now we're caught in some kind of mob war. Her voice cracked. I saw the news. The fire at the port. They said it was arson. Was that because of me?
No.
It was because the Phoenix cartel is desperate and stupid. Adrian pulled out his phone, showing her the threatening text. They're trying to scare me into backing down. It won't work. Mia read the message, her face paling. 48 hours. That's tomorrow night.
Which is why we need to talk.
Really talk? Adrian pocketed his phone. I haven't been entirely honest with you about who I am. I know who you are. Your name makes men with guns run away. You have safe houses and soldiers, and enough power to make evidence disappear. She met his eyes. You're Mafia. Just like in the movies. Not exactly like the movies. But close enough. Adrian's voice was measured, careful. My family has been in this city for 3 generations. My grandfather came from Sicily with nothing but ambition and a willingness to do what others wouldn't. He built an empire, importing, exporting, construction, waste management. Some legitimate, some less so. And you inherited it. I earned it. There's a difference. Adrian turned to face the lake. I've done things I'm not proud of. Hurt people who probably deserved it. Made decisions that kept me awake at night. But I've also kept hundreds of people employed, kept neighborhoods safe, and maintained order in a world that thrives on chaos. That's quite a rationalization. It's not a rationalization. It's the truth. His voice hardened slightly. The Phoenix cartel, they're not like us. They traffic people, sell drugs to kids, and leave bodies in alleys as warnings. We have rules. They have chaos. Mia was quiet for a long moment. Why did Luis really come back? That's the question, isn't it? Adrian pulled out his phone again, showing her photos Vincent had compiled. 3 weeks ago, the Phoenix cartel bought your old apartment building. They've been hemorrhaging money. Lost shipments, federal investigations, turf wars. They're desperate for cash and leverage. He swiped to the next image, a grainy photo of Luis entering the building with a briefcase 14 months ago, 2 days before he disappeared. Luis was working as a money courier for the cartel. Small-time stuff. But according to our intelligence, he got greedy. Skimmed money, made copies of documents he shouldn't have seen. When the cartel found out, he ran.
Fast.
What kind of documents? Shipping manifests. Payment ledgers. Photos of cartel leadership meeting with corrupt officials and international partners. The kind of evidence that could dismantle their entire operation if it fell into the right hands. Adrian looked at her seriously. Or make someone very rich if sold to the right buyer. Mia's hand went to her mouth. And Luis hid them in our apartment. We believe so. Probably in a storage unit in the basement, or behind a wall panel. Somewhere only someone with legal access could retrieve without raising suspicion. Adrian's voice softened. That's why they need you. The building's been converted into high-security condos. They can't just break in without triggering alarms. But the former tenant returning to collect forgotten belongings? That's normal. So I'm bait. You're bait. Now you're under my protection. Adrian moved closer, his presence solid and reassuring despite everything. Mia, I need you to understand something. The Phoenix Cartel will kill you the moment you give them those documents. You're a witness, a liability. They can't let you live. Then what do I do? The fear in her voice was raw. They said 48 hours. They burned your warehouse. What happens when that deadline passes? They escalate. But so do I. Adrian turned her to face him, his hands gentle on her shoulders. Tonight, my family is meeting to discuss our response. Tomorrow, before their deadline, we're going to retrieve those documents ourselves. And then we're going to use them to destroy the Phoenix Cartel completely. How? Leave that to me. Mia pulled away, pacing the deck. This is insane. I should go to the police. The FBI. Someone legitimate. And tell them what? That your ex-husband hid cartel documents in your old apartment? They'll open an investigation that takes months, while the cartel kills you in days. Or worse, there are corrupt cops on the cartel payroll who'll make sure you never make it to trial. So, I trust you instead? A mob boss. Yes, the word was simple, absolute. Because I'm the only one who can keep you and Leo alive. The sliding door opened. Leo emerged in borrowed pajamas, rubbing his eyes.
Nana.
Mia immediately shifted, forcing brightness into her voice. Hey, baby. You hungry? Uh-huh. Can Mr. Adrian make pancakes too? Adrian smiled despite everything. I think I can manage that. As they headed inside, Mia caught Adrian's arm. After this is over, after the documents, after the cartel, do we just go back to normal? Pretend none of this happened. Adrian looked at Leo, already chattering excitedly about the lake and asking if there were fish. Then back at Mia. I don't know, he admitted. But I promise you'll be alive to figure it out. It wasn't the reassurance she wanted. But somehow it was enough. The council meeting lasted 3 hours. 16 men, captains, soldiers, advisors, gathered in the secure conference room beneath Moretti Tower. Adrian laid out the situation with clinical precision. The Phoenix Cartel's expansion, the threat to Mia and Leo, the documents Luis had hidden. When he finished, his underboss, Salvatore Russo, spoke first. You're risking a war over a woman you barely know. The war started when they burned our warehouse, Adrian replied coolly. The woman is secondary. Is she? Sal's eyebrow raised. Because from where I sit, you've committed resources, manpower, and family reputation to protecting a civilian. That's not secondary, Adrian. That's personal. The room went silent. Adrian's father had taught him never to show weakness in front of the family. Personal feelings were vulnerabilities enemies could exploit. The Phoenix Cartel is pushing into our territory, Adrian said, his voice like steel. They're trafficking through our ports, intimidating our contacts, and burning our property. Whether or not Mia Castellano exists, this ends the same way, with the cartel destroyed. She just happens to be the key to doing it quickly and completely. Sal nodded slowly. Then let's get those documents. At 4 a.m., Adrian's team assembled at a warehouse 3 blocks from the old apartment building. Marco had 8 men, all experienced, all loyal. Vincent provided real-time surveillance feeds from hacked security cameras. Tony stayed at the safe house with Mia and Leo. The building sat in a gentrified neighborhood that had been rough when Mia lived there, but was now all artisan coffee shops and yoga studios. The new owners had installed high-end security, electronic locks, and doormen. 2 guards in the lobby. Vincent's voice crackled through Adrian's earpiece. Rotating patrol every 30 minutes. Cameras on every floor, but I've got a loop ready. You'll have a 15-minute window. Apartment 3C, Storage Unit B, 12 in the basement. Both registered under Mia's name from the old lease. Landlord never updated the records. Adrian turned to Marco. Standard entry. Quiet, quick, invisible. We're not here to send a message. We're here to get what we came for and disappear. They moved at 4:17 a.m., when human attention was at its lowest. Marco's lockpick had the service entrance open in 40 seconds. They bypassed the lobby entirely, taking the service stairs to the 3rd floor. Apartment 3C had new locks, new paint, new everything. According to Vincent, it was owned by a corporate lawyer who traveled frequently. Currently empty. "We're in," Adrian whispered as Marco worked the lock. The apartment was sterile, expensive furniture, no personality, the kind of place that appeared in design magazines. Adrian tried to imagine Mia living here, back when she was married, back when she still believed Luis might change. "Boss," Marco stood by a bedroom closet. "There's a wall panel here that's been replaced. Recently." Adrian examined it. The paint didn't quite match, and the screws were newer than the surrounding ones. He pulled out a utility knife, carefully prying the panel free. Behind it, carved into the wall, a hollow space containing a weatherproof document bag. "Got it." Adrian pulled the bag free. Inside, a USB drive, photographs, and a ledger written in Spanish and English. Even in the dim light, he could see names he recognized: city officials, shipping company executives, and Phoenix cartel leadership. "Let's check the storage unit," Marco said. The basement was older, untouched by renovation. Storage units lined the walls, secured with cheap padlocks. B12 opened easily. Inside, cardboard boxes labeled in Mia's handwriting. Christmas decorations, old dishes, books. And in the back corner, a locked metal case. Marco cut the lock. Inside the case, money. Stacks of hundreds, bound with cartel markings. Adrian counted quickly, roughly $200,000. Luis's insurance policy, probably. Or his escape fund. "We taking this?" Marco asked. "All of it. Mia can decide what to do with it later." They were back in the stairwell when Vincent's voice exploded in their ears. "Company. 2 vehicles just pulled up outside. Phoenix cartel. 6 men, armed." Adrian's jaw clenched. "They're watching the building."
How? Marco hissed.
"Nobody knew we were coming except. Doesn't matter now. Routes. Front and back exits covered. Service entrance has 3 men posted. You're boxed in." Vincent's typing was frantic. "Wait, rooftop access. There's a fire escape on the north side that connects to the adjacent building. I can guide you." They moved fast, climbing 6 floors to the roof. Behind them, Adrian could hear voices in the stairwell. The cartel had entered the building. The fire escape was rusted, questionable. Marco went first, testing each step. The adjacent building was 4 feet away, close enough to cross, far enough to be dangerous in the dark. "Go," Adrian ordered. His men crossed one by one. He went last, the document bag secured inside his jacket. He was halfway across when the rooftop door burst open. Carlos Vega himself stood there, flanked by 2 soldiers. He smiled, seeing Adrian suspended over the alley. "Moretti. I was hoping you'd come personally." Adrian kept moving, reaching the opposite building. Marco's men had weapons drawn, covering him. "You wanted war, Carlos. You've got it." "We wanted a business transaction." "You made it personal." Carlos pulled out his phone, showing Adrian the screen. A live video feed, the safe house. Tony's standing guard outside. "Nice place you've got up north. Very secluded." Adrian's blood turned to ice. 48 hours is up at midnight tomorrow," Carlos continued. "The documents for the woman and child. Simple trade. Otherwise, we burn that pretty cabin with everyone inside." "You're bluffing. You don't know where." "Lake Mitchell. North Shore. The old Moretti place." Carlos's smile widened. "Did you really think we couldn't follow your men? We've been watching that house since you moved them there yesterday." Adrian's mind raced. They'd been careful. Tony would have spotted a tail. Unless...
"Luis, Adrian, breathe."
He planted a tracker on the woman's phone. "She's been broadcasting her location since the parking lot. We let you think you were protecting her. Meanwhile, we learned everything: your safe houses, your movements, your patterns." Carlos pocketed his phone. "Midnight tomorrow. You know how to reach us." He disappeared back through the door. His men followed. Adrian stood on the fire escape, the documents in his jacket feeling like they weighed 1,000 pounds. Marco touched his shoulder. "Boss, We need to move. They might come around. Call Tony. Tell him to sweep Mia for tracking devices. Every phone, every piece of clothing, everything. Adrian's voice was deadly calm. Then get Vincent on analysis. I want to know everything in these documents by dawn. And if Carlos is serious about the deadline? Adrian looked at the city spreading before him, the sky beginning to lighten with approaching dawn. Then we have 36 hours to destroy them completely. The tracking device was in the lining of Mia's purse, a tiny chip no bigger than a button battery. Tony found it within 20 minutes of Adrian's call, crushed it under his heel, and threw the pieces into the lake. But the damage was done. Adrian returned to the safe house at dawn, exhausted and furious with himself. He'd been arrogant, assuming his precautions were enough. The Phoenix cartel had outmaneuvered him, and now Mia and Leo were in more danger than ever. He found Mia in the kitchen, making coffee with shaking hands. Leo was still asleep upstairs. They know where we are, she said without preamble.
Tony told me.
We're moving you within the hour. Different location, better security. How many locations do you have? Her voice was brittle, close to breaking. How long can we keep running? As long as it takes. That's not an answer. The coffee mug slipped from her fingers, shattering on the floor. She didn't move to clean it. They're always one step ahead. They knew about the blind date, they knew about the apartment, they knew about this place. When does it end, Adrian? Tomorrow night. When I give them the documents. Mia's head snapped up. You're giving them what they want. No, Adrian's smile was cold. I'm giving them what they think they want. There's a difference. Before he could explain, his phone rang. Vincent, voice tight with urgency. Boss, we've got a situation. Multiple situations. Talk to me. Rosie's diner. It's on fire. Started 20 minutes ago. Fire department's there, but it's bad. Rosie made it out, but the building's a total loss. Mia gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. That's not all, Vincent continued. Leo's school bus, the one he usually takes home, was followed by a cartel vehicle this morning. Tony's men intercepted before anything happened, but they're getting bold. And there's been an incident at the docks. What kind of incident? Ambush. 3 of our trucks at the morning shipment. Cartel hit squad with automatic weapons. 4 of our men wounded, 1 critical. We fought them off, but boss, they're escalating fast. Adrian's grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles went white. Behind him, he could hear Mia crying quietly, mourning the diner that had been her sanctuary. Casualties on their side? Adrian asked. 2 dead, 3 wounded. They left the bodies. A message. The Phoenix cartel wanted everyone to know they weren't afraid of the Moretti family. Get our wounded to Dr. Reeves. Send flowers to their families. Double their hospital coverage. Adrian's voice was mechanical, detached. And, Vincent? Start implementing phase 1-inch. You're sure? Once we start, there's no going back. They crossed the line when they burned Rosie's diner. They're not soldiers, they're terrorists. Treat them accordingly. Adrian ended the call. Mia stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Rosie, she whispered. She's safe. The building isn't. This is my fault. She gave me a job when no one else would. She let me bring Leo on snow days. Mia's voice broke completely. Everyone I touch gets hurt. Adrian crossed to her, careful to avoid the broken ceramic. The Phoenix cartel did this.
Not you.
They're trying to break you, isolate you, make you feel like surrendering is the only option. Maybe it is. Maybe I should just give them the damn documents and
die.
Along with Leo. Along with anyone else who knows about this. Adrian's voice was firm, but not unkind. Mia, you don't negotiate with people like Carlos Vega. You don't surrender. You fight or you disappear. Those are the only options. Then let me disappear. Take Leo and run. Change our names, leave the state. They'll find you. They have resources, contacts across the country. You'd be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life, and one day, when you finally feel safe, they'll be there. Adrian paused. Or you stay. Let me end this. Let me protect you. By starting a war? People are getting hurt, Adrian. Your people. My people knew the risks when they signed up. This is what we do. His phone buzzed again. Another update, another crisis. But you're right about one thing. The cartel is escalating because they're desperate. Which means we're winning. Winning. Mia's laugh was hollow. 4 of your men are in the hospital. Rosie's livelihood is destroyed. Leo can't even take the bus to school safely. If this is winning, I'd hate to see losing. Adrian's phone rang a third time. Marco, breathing hard. Boss, you need to see this.
Now.
What is it? Turn on the news. Channel 7-inch. Adrian grabbed the remote, switching on the television mounted in the kitchen. The morning news anchor wore her serious face. Explosion at the Moretti construction headquarters in the industrial district. While no workers were present at the time, authorities are investigating whether this is connected to yesterday's warehouse fire. Police are asking anyone with information. The screen showed Adrian's construction office, a legitimate business that employed 50 people, engulfed in flames. His father had started that company 40 years ago. Adrian's expression went flat, dangerous. The kind of calm that preceded violence. Get everyone to the compound, he told Marco. Every captain, every soldier, everyone who's bled for this family. We're not waiting until tomorrow night. What are you planning? They want to burn my world?
Fine.
Let's see how they like the heat. Adrian looked at Mia. Pack a bag. Just essentials. Tony's taking you and Leo to a location even I don't know. It's better that way. Where are you going? To end this, he was already moving toward the door. One way or another, by tomorrow morning, either the Phoenix cartel will be destroyed or I will be. There's no middle ground anymore. Adrian. He stopped at the door, looking back at her. For a moment, the hard shell cracked, and she saw the exhaustion beneath. The weight of responsibility, of violence, of choices that kept him awake at night. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm sorry you got caught in this. But I meant what I said. I'll keep you safe, whatever it costs. Then he was gone, and Mia was left standing in a strange kitchen, in a safe house that wasn't safe, watching her world burn on television while her son slept upstairs. She looked at the shattered coffee mug on the floor. Some things, once broken, couldn't be fixed. She just hoped her life wasn't one of them. The Moretti compound occupied 10 acres in the countryside, surrounded by high walls and loyal men. By noon, Adrian's entire organization had assembled, 40 soldiers, 8 captains, and enough firepower to start a small war. Which was exactly what Adrian intended. Gentlemen, Adrian stood at the head of the conference table, Vincent's laptop displaying a detailed map of Phoenix cartel operations. For 6 months, we've tolerated the Phoenix cartel's presence in our city. We've watched them push boundaries, test our patience, and gradually encroach on our territory. That ends today. He clicked to the next slide, surveillance photos of Carlos Vega, cartel lieutenants, and known operations. They think burning our buildings and threatening civilians will make us negotiate. They're wrong. They've given us justification for total war, and more importantly, he held up the USB drive retrieved from the apartment. They've given us the tools to destroy them completely. Vincent took over. This drive contains 3 years of cartel operations. Shipping routes, payment ledgers, photographs of meetings between cartel leadership and corrupt officials. There's enough here to put 30 people in federal prison for life. So we go to the feds, one captain asked. Eventually. But first, we use it ourselves. Adrian pulled up a timeline on the screen. We have 36 hours until Carlos's midnight deadline. We're going to use every single hour. This will be a 3-day coordinated assault designed to dismantle their operation from every angle simultaneously. He pointed to the first item. Day 1, today. Vincent's team will anonymously leak the cartel's financial ledgers to the FBI, DEA, and IRS. Not everything, just enough to trigger immediate federal investigation. Their bank accounts will be frozen by evening. Their legitimate business fronts will be raided by morning. Vincent nodded. Already in progress. I sent the first package an hour ago. Day 2. Tomorrow, Adrian moved to the next slide. We hit their communications and logistics. Vincent will scramble their radio frequencies, hack their shipment tracking systems, and reroute 3 of their incoming containers to ports where our people control customs. Without communications or shipments, they'll be blind and broke. Won't they just switch frequencies? Marco asked. They will. And we'll scramble those too. For 48 hours, they'll be operating in complete chaos, unable to coordinate, unable to communicate with their suppliers or buyers. Adrian clicked again. Day 2 is also when we turn their allies against them. These photos. Images appeared showing Phoenix cartel leaders meeting with rival criminal organizations. Show Carlos negotiating with the Sinaloa cartel, the Russian Bratva, and the Irish mob. All meetings where he badmouthed his current partners and tried to undercut their deals. Sal leaned forward, studying the photos. Are these real? Does it matter? Adrian's smile was sharp. By tomorrow afternoon, every criminal organization in this city will receive these photos with anonymous tips that the Phoenix cartel has been betraying them. They'll tear each other apart. You're starting a gang war, one of the older captains said carefully. I'm ending one. On our terms. Adrian moved to the final slide. Day 3, deadline day. While the cartel is dealing with federal investigations, communication failures, and attacks from former allies, we hit their main operation. The warehouse at Pier 9, their distribution center, where they process everything from drugs to trafficked workers. He zoomed in on satellite imagery. Marco will lead a team of 20. The objective is simple: free any trafficking victims, seize their product and money, and capture Carlos Vega alive. We're not killing unless necessary. We're not destroying property unless it serves a purpose. This is surgical, strategic, and most importantly, invisible. How do we stay invisible? Marco asked. Because by the time we hit the warehouse, the police will already be on their way. Adrian's expression was cold satisfaction. I'm arranging an anonymous tip about a major trafficking operation, complete with GPS coordinates, photographs, and testimony from victims we've already extracted through intermediaries. The cops will arrive just as we're leaving, finding everything they need to arrest everyone present. The room was silent, absorbing the plan's scope. What about the deadline?
Sal asked.
Carlos wants the documents by midnight tomorrow. When we don't show, he'll assume we're refusing. Let him assume. Adrian pocketed the USB drive. By midnight tomorrow, Carlos Vega won't have the resources, communications, or freedom to act on his threats. He'll be too busy trying to survive. And the woman? The kid? They'll be moved to a new location every 12 hours. Different teams, different routes, no patterns. Even I won't know where they are until this is over. Adrian looked around the table. Anyone who has a problem with this plan, speak now. Because once we start, there's no mercy, no hesitation, no backing down. No one spoke. Good, Adrian stood. Vincent, start day 1 protocols immediately. Marco, prep your team for the warehouse assault. I want every contingency planned. Sal, coordinate with our legal team. When this is over, I want lawyers ready to handle any blowback. The men dispersed, moving with purpose. Adrian remained at the table, staring at the map of cartel operations. Sophia appeared in the doorway, his sister, the one who'd arranged the blind date that started everything. She'd been watching from the back of the room. That's quite a plan, little brother. It'll work. I'm not doubting your strategy. I'm doubting your motivation. She moved closer, her voice soft. You've orchestrated gang wars, Adrian. You've taken down rival families. But I've never seen you do it with this much intensity. This is personal. They burned Rosie's diner. They hurt our men. They threatened. A woman you met 4 days ago, Sophia touched his arm. I see how you look when someone mentions her. Like she's already under your skin. Adrian pulled away. This isn't about feelings. It's about protecting our territory. Keep telling yourself that. Sophia headed for the door, then paused. For what it's worth. She seems like a good person. Someone who could balance out all your darkness. Don't let your pride destroy that before you even see where it could go. Alone again, Adrian pulled out his phone. A text from Tony, package secured. Location Delta 7. All quiet. He typed back, keep them safe, whatever it takes. Then he opened his computer and began day one. By evening, the first federal raids hit Phoenix cartel fronts across the city. By midnight, their accounts were frozen. By dawn tomorrow, the real war would begin. And Adrian Moretti always won his wars. Day 2 unfolded exactly as Adrian planned. By noon, the Phoenix cartel's communication network was in shambles. Their shipments were rerouted, their codes scrambled, their operations grinding to a halt. By evening, 3 separate criminal organizations had shown up at cartel's safe houses demanding explanations for the alleged betrayals. The city was eating itself alive, and Adrian watched from the compound with cold satisfaction. But it was day 3, deadline day, when everything came together. At 6 p.m., 12 hours before Carlos's midnight deadline, Marco's team moved into position around Pier 9. Adrian watched through drone feeds as his men surrounded the warehouse, a massive concrete structure that had once stored legitimate cargo but now held the Phoenix cartel's darkest secrets. Thermal imaging shows 42 people inside, Vincent reported. 20 are armed guards. The rest appear to be workers or
Captives.
There's a cluster in the southwest corner that hasn't moved in hours. Trafficking victims. Adrian's jaw clenched. Carlos, he asked. Second floor office. 3 bodyguards. Vincent zoomed in. He's on the phone. Looks agitated. He should be. His world is collapsing. Adrian checked his watch. Police will arrive in 90 minutes. That's our window. Marco, you're green to proceed. Copy that, boss. The assault was textbook. Marco's team breached 3 entry points simultaneously. Fast, quiet, overwhelming. The cartel guards barely had time to reach for weapons before they were disarmed and restrained. Adrian watched it unfold through body cameras, his expression unreadable. This was what 3 generations of Moretti power looked like: precision, control, absolute dominance. Southwest corner secured. Marco's voice crackled. Jesus Christ, boss. There's 20 people down here. Women, kids. Locked in cages like animals. Get them out.
Gently.
They've been through enough. While Marco's team freed the captives, a smaller unit moved on the second floor. Adrian watched through their cameras as they cleared rooms, moving toward Carlos's office with military efficiency. The office door exploded inward. Carlos Vega stood behind his desk, gun drawn, 3 bodyguards flanking him. But Marco's men were faster. Within seconds, all 4 were on the ground, weapons kicked away. Adrian Moretti sends his regards, Marco said, hauling Carlos to his feet. You think this changes anything? Carlos spat blood, his face already swelling from the takedown. You attack us, you start a war with the entire cartel. They'll send more men, more soldiers. They'll send nobody. Adrian's voice came through Marco's earpiece, broadcast so Carlos could hear. Because in about an hour, this warehouse will be swarming with federal agents. They'll find the trafficked victims, the drugs, the money, and the very detailed records we've left for them. Records with your name on every page. Carlos's face went white. But before that happens, you're going to answer some questions. Marco dragged Carlos to a chair, zip-tying his hands. Starting with, where's Luis Ortega? I don't know what. Marco backhanded him. Not hard enough to cause real damage, but enough to show he meant business. Wrong answer. Try again. Carlos's defiance crumbled. Storage unit. Building C, Unit 47. We've been keeping him there since the school failed. Insurance policy. Adrian's voice came through cold and clear. Bring him up. 2 minutes later, Luis Ortega was dragged into the office, bruised, terrified, barely recognizable as the man from the parking lot. When he saw Carlos tied to a chair, he started crying. I did what you asked, Luis whimpered. I called her, I scared her, I went to the school. Shut up, Carlos snarled. But Luis was beyond caring. The words spilled out like poison. It was supposed to be simple. Get Mia to the apartment, grab the documents, let them grab her and the kid. Use them as leverage against the Moretus. That was the plan. I said, shut up. Carlos lunged forward, chair and all, but Marco held him back. Adrian had heard enough. Marco, police ETA? 45 minutes. Get our men out. Leave Carlos and Luis exactly where they are. Leave the victims in the safe room. EMTs will find them first. And Marco? Make sure the documents we prepared are prominently displayed in Carlos's desk. The one showing the trafficking routes and political connections. All of it. Let the feds have an early Christmas. 20 minutes later, Marco's team evacuated with precision. They took nothing, left no evidence of their presence. To the police, it would look like an anonymous tip had paid off spectacularly. Adrian watched from the compound as emergency vehicles swarmed the pier. First responders, then police, then federal agents. He watched them find the victims, watched Carlos and Luis being let out in handcuffs, watched the dawn of the Phoenix cartel's complete destruction.
His phone rang.
Unknown number. Moretti, a voice thick with a Mexican accent. Someone high up in the cartel hierarchy. You've made a powerful enemy today. You made an enemy when you threatened an innocent woman and her child in my city. Adrian's voice was ice. Carlos Vega acted without approval, didn't he? He was desperate, sloppy, trying to prove himself. And now he's cost you everything. Silence on the other end. Here's what happens next, Adrian continued. Your operations in this city are finished. Your people leave, your shipments stop, your influence ends. In exchange, I don't send the rest of the documents to every federal agency in the country. The ones that implicate your leadership in Mexico, your international partners, your political connections. Walk away and you might survive. Push back and I bury you all. More silence. Then, this isn't over. Yes, Adrian said quietly. It is. He hung up. Vincent approached, looking exhausted but relieved. News is reporting it as the biggest trafficking bust in city history. 23 victims freed, 2 major cartel leaders arrested, enough evidence to prosecute 50 people. The FBI is calling it a major victory.
Good.
Let them take the credit. Adrian stood, bones aching from 3 days, without real sleep. What about our casualties? The men wounded at the docks are stable. Rosie's insurance will cover the diner rebuild. Plus, I've arranged an anonymous donation to speed things along. Vincent paused. Boss, we did it. The Phoenix cartel is done. Adrian looked out at the sunrise, painting the sky gold and red. Then it's time to bring them home. 3 days after the warehouse raid, Adrian stood in the parking lot where it all began. The restaurant next door, the one where he'd been stood up for a blind date, was doing brisk lunch business. The world kept turning, oblivious to how close it had come to chaos. His phone buzzed. Tony, they're here. A silver Honda Civic, new, not the beat-up one with a punctured tire, pulled into the lot. Mia emerged first, looking exhausted but alive. Then Leo, clutching a toy dinosaur, eyes wide and curious. Adrian's chest tightened in a way he didn't entirely understand. Hi, Mia said, stopping a few feet away. As if they were strangers meeting for the first time, not 2 people who'd survived a war together.
Adrian Raplia.
Leo tugged his mother's hand. Is that the pancake man? Despite everything, Adrian smiled. That's me. Mama said you're a hero, that you saved us from bad guys. Adrian met Mia's eyes. Your mama did most of the saving. She was very brave. I don't feel brave, Mia said quietly. I feel tired. And confused. And, she looked at Leo, choosing her words carefully. Grateful. For everything you did. Can I see the dinosaurs now? Leo asked, pointing toward the park across the street. In a minute, baby. Mia crouched down. Remember what we talked about? I need to talk to Mr. Adrian first. You can see them through the fence from here, okay? Leo nodded, running to the low fence that bordered the park, pressing his face against the bars to watch children playing. Alone as they could be in a public parking lot, Mia finally let her composure crack. I saw the news. 23 people freed. Carlos Vega and Luis both in federal custody, facing life sentences. The Phoenix cartel's operations completely shut down. She paused. That was you, wasn't it? All of it. Yes. How many laws did you break doing it? I stopped counting years ago. Adrian's honesty seemed to surprise her. But the people who were freed, the children who went home to their families, that's real. That matters. So does the violence. The fire at Rosie's. Your wounded men, Mia's voice trembled. People got hurt because of me. People got hurt because the Phoenix cartel chose violence. You were just the excuse they used. Adrian stepped closer. Mia, I need you to understand something. What I do, who I am, it's complicated. I'm not a good man by most definitions. I've hurt people, made decisions that haunt me. But I've also protected thousands, kept order, and when it mattered most, I kept you and Leo alive. I know, she wiped her eyes. That's what makes this so hard. What? Figuring out what comes next, Mia looked at him directly. I'm a kindergarten teacher from Ohio who married the wrong man and ended up in the middle of a mob war. She gestured helplessly. We don't make sense. No, Adrian agreed. We don't. So, why can't I stop thinking about you? The question hung between them, honest and vulnerable and terrifying. I have something for you. Adrian pulled an envelope from his jacket. The money from Luis's storage unit. $200,000. It's yours, or rather, it's Leo's. I set up a trust. College fund, whatever he needs. Luis's lawyer confirmed he's signing away all parental rights as part of his plea deal. You'll never have to see him again. Mia stared at the envelope. I can't accept this. It's not from me. It's Luis's money. His debt to you and Leo. Adrian pressed it into her hands. There's also a new lease in there. A 2-bedroom apartment in a good neighborhood, near an excellent school. First year paid. After that, it's month to month, your choice whether to stay. Adrian. And Rosie's rebuilding the diner. She asked if you'd come back when it reopens. Your job's waiting. Tears spilled down Mia's cheeks. Why are you doing all this? Because you deserve a chance to rebuild without looking over your shoulder. Adrian's voice softened. Because Leo deserves a childhood that isn't filled with fear. And because he stopped, the words harder than he expected. Because what? Because in 4 days, you reminded me why I started this life in the first place. Not for power or money. To protect people who can't protect themselves. He met her eyes. You made me remember who I wanted to be.
Mia stepped closer. I'm scared.
Of you, of this world, of what it means if I let you in. You should be scared. This life, my life, it's dangerous. There will always be another threat, another enemy, another crisis. Adrian's honesty was brutal. But I promise you this, if you choose to let me be part of your life, part of Leo's life, I will never let anyone hurt you again. Not cartels, not ex-husbands, not anyone. That's not a small promise. I don't make small promises. From the fence, Leo called out.
Mama.
Can we go to the park now? Please. Mia laughed through her tears. Yes, baby. We can go. She turned back to Adrian. I need time. To process everything, to figure out what normal looks like again. But, she took his hand briefly. I'm not saying goodbye.
Just.
Not yet. Take all the time you need. Adrian squeezed her hand once before letting go. I'll be here. Mia collected Leo, who chattered excitedly about the dinosaur-themed playground. As they started across the street, Leo suddenly broke free and ran back to Adrian. Mr. Adrian? The little boy looked up with enormous, trusting eyes. Will you come to the park with us? Adrian glanced at Mia, asking silent permission. She nodded, almost imperceptibly. I'd like that, Adrian said. Leo grabbed his hand with the unself-conscious affection of a 5-year-old who decided someone was safe. The small hand in his felt like both a gift and a responsibility. They crossed to the park together, a kindergarten teacher, a mob boss, and a little boy who'd survived more than most adults. It was strange and imperfect, and nothing like Adrian had ever imagined for himself. But as Leo dragged him toward the slide, chattering about dinosaurs and school and his new apartment, and as Mia smiled, really smiled, for the first time in days, Adrian felt something shift in his chest. Not redemption. He didn't believe in that. But maybe something close enough. Sophia called that evening. I heard you spend the afternoon at a playground. Your sources are annoyingly thorough. That's why you pay them, his sister's voice warmed. So? How was the blind date that wasn't a blind date? Adrian watched the sunset from his penthouse, thinking about small hands and brave women and second chances. Complicated. The best things usually are, Sophia paused. For what it's worth, Adrian? I think she's good for you. She sees the man, not just the legend. She sees both. That's what scares her. Give her time. Some people are worth waiting for. After they hung up, Adrian stood at his window, looking out at the city he controlled through shadow and influence. Somewhere out there, Mia was putting Leo to bed in their new apartment. Reading stories, checking locks, trying to believe the nightmare was finally over.
It was.
Adrian Moretti had dismantled an entire cartel to protect them. He'd broken laws, bent rules, and orchestrated a gang war, all for a woman he'd met in a parking lot and a little boy who held his hand. The world would call him a criminal. History would judge him harshly. But when Leo had looked up at him today with absolute trust, when Mia had smiled like maybe, just maybe, they had a future worth exploring, Adrian had felt something he hadn't felt in years.
Hope.
And for a man who lived in darkness, even the smallest light was worth protecting.
The end.
3 months later, Adrian attended Leo's kindergarten holiday concert. He sat in the back row, watching Mia help nervous 5-year-olds remember their songs. When Leo spotted him and waved enthusiastically from the stage, Adrian waved back and knew that some blind dates, even the ones that got canceled, led exactly where they were meant to.